lahat kasi ng ari-arian ng taong namatay ay kailangang gamitin, una, pagbayad sa mga utang niya. Kasi hindi naman tayo pinapayagan ng batas na dahil namatay tayo, nakakatakas na tayo sa utang. At pangalawa, yan ay paghahati-hatiin ng kanyang mga heredero, heirs. Ano? H-E-I-R-S. Heirs. Silent H. Heredero. Silent H pa rin. So, halimbawa, hindi nalaman ng bangko na si Attorney Balanag pala inassassinate dahil sa kababatikos niya sa kay Badoy sa red tagging niya. Hindi nila nabalitaan, hindi na pick up tulad kay Lapid Fire yung Batikan na broadcaster. Nabalitaan na lang nila 1 month later na-settle na yung estate. Pag namatay kasi ang tao, kailangan ma-settle yung kanyang estate. Ibig sabihin, yung lahat mga ari-arian niya, dapat ibigay sa dapat ipagbigyan. Kung may kinauutangan, bayaran yung kinauutangan. Kung mayroong mga eredero, ipaghati-hati na yung mga eredero. Kasi wala nang silbi yung mga ari-ari. Anin ko yung Land Cruiser, patay na ako. Diba? So yan, dapat either ibenta yan o ibigay kay Mrs. o ibigay sa anak ko, isa lang naman anak ko, o kung meron akong will at donate ko yan, my friends and I from UP College of Law, we're running an orphanage. We take care of about 20 young girls who are sexually abused or abandoned. So I could donate to that orphanage. That's valid, di ba? That's part of the settlement of estate. The law does not want, the legal system does not want property to be idle. Kasi kung patay yung tao, tapos hindi ginagamit yung lupa doon sa Tagaytay, yung mabinili, hindi ginagamit, sayang. Whereas, pwede yang gamitin at tumubo at kumita para sa ibang tao, di ba? For one thing, the heirs might be able to do something with it, di ba? So, there's settlement of estate. So, I would like to add to our lecture the fact that although death of either the obliger or the obligee may extinguish the obligation, it does not do so all the time. Now, suppose obligee yan, siya yung pinagkakautangan. Diba? Si Atty. Balanag ulit. Sa halip na ako umutang, ako yung nagpahiram. Nagkataon na mayaman pala ako. Nagpahiram ako kay Miss Fuentes ng 10 million. Gagamitin raw ni Miss Fuentes kasi mag-start siya ng online business. Bilib ako kay Miss Fuentes, magaling siya. Estudyante pa lang, magaling na siya. So, pinahiram ko. Namatay nga ako kasi ang daldal ko, batikos ako ng batikos kay Badoy. O yun, na-assassinate tuloy ako sa labas ng subdivision ko. Alam niyo yung mga gwardiya namin, although may dalang baril yan, hindi sila marunong gumamit. Mas magaling pa siguro ako magpaputok kaysa sa kanila. Anyway, so, what happens? Sisettle ulit yung estate, di ba? The settlement of estate, di ba sinabi ko sa inyo, the settlement of estate involves liquidating the properties. It is also collecting debts. So an obligee, yung pinagkakautangan, the creditor can collect debts that are personal to him. Utang talaga sa kanya. Ako yung nagpahiram. So aking pera ko yon. My estate will collect it. Now, what is an estate? The estate is the group of heirs. Sila naman interesado eh. So in my case, it's my wife and my daughter. They will collect debts and they will give away properties in accordance with what, if I had a will, what my will says, or if I don't have a will, what we call dying intestate. When a person dies intestate, that means you die without a will. Kung mamatay ka without a will, the law already provides. The Civil Code has many provisions. Ay, sakit ang ulo namin studying succession law. Many provisions on how to dispose of the property of the deceased if there is no will. So maraming rules yan. Sinong unang bibigyan? Anong parte niya? Asawa, anak, gano'n, may partihan yan. Kung 2 asawa, 3 asawa, may partihan rin yan. Okay? Why am I mentioning this? Because although there is a settlement of estate and although the obligation may still be collected even after the obliger or obligee is dead, yun yung binigay ko example kanina. Yung bangko na nagpahiram sa akin, ako yung patay ako yung deceased, ng 100 million, hindi nila nabalitaan. Ina-divide na lahat ng properties. You know, within 15 days, na-liquidate na yung lahat ng properties ko sa aking estate by my heirs. Donation to the orphanage, and my wife and my daughter, pinaghatian na nila. Pwede pa rin kasing makahabol yung bangko na nagpahiram ng 100 million sa estate. Kahit na hindi nila nabalitaan at meron niyang takdang panahon. So, ano ang lesson dito sa atin? Halimbawa, CPA na tayo. Halimbawa, businessman na tayo or businesswoman. Nagpapatakbo tayo ng business. Nagpapautang tayo, umutang tayo. You have to be alert. You have to know your creditor, know your debtor. Kasi, ang hirap naman, di ba? Kung isipin mo lang, namatayan na nga yung pamilya ng tao. Nasettle naman nila yung estate, paghatian. Ngayon, after 30 days, ito pala, may utang pala si Attorney Balanag sa bangko. 100 million. Ang nabayaran niya lang, 60 million, may 40 million. Yung mga heirs, di ba, hindi pa naka 40 days, hindi pa sila nakaakyat lamay. May nangungulekta na. They have to give up 40 million pesos na utang sa bangko. Kasi 60 million nga, according to my example, 60 million na bayaran ni Attorney Balanag nung buhay siya, may 40 million pa. So although napaghatian ng estate, the heirs, if the bank made the correct procedure, and they should know how to do the correct procedure because they hire lawyers like me, will collect 40 million pesos. Diba? Yun ang plus interest. Yun ang mahirap doon. So although death is one of the means of extinguishing obligation, the mere fact that there is an estate means that may habol pa rin. Okay? And so that, what is the mode of extinguishing the obligation when there is an estate and the estate is sufficient to answer for the claims against the estate? That is called payment. Satisfaction. The bank is satisfied, nabayaran sila. Diba? So it is not, the obligation was not extinguished by death. It was extinguished by satisfaction. Because the bank, in a timely manner, made a claim against the estate and got paid for the loan. Because they had good lawyers and good accountants like you when you pass the board exams. Diba? Because you studied Oblicon under me. Okay, so we will now get, I would want to make some clarifications from our last lecture. Mali yung binigay ko example. So very simple, application of payments is one creditor, one debtor, several debts. So, ang magandang example na talaga dyan, yung binigay ko, ay yung tungkol sa Meralco. Maalala yung example ko sa Meralco. Yung panahon ng pandemic, nag-condonation program ang Meralco. So, 3 buwan, huwag kayong magbayad, i-installment nyo yan. Kasi ika-4 na buwan, balik tayo sa bayaran. Parang kung nila yan, partida nila doon sa mga nahirapan dahil syempre walang kita. Diba? Kung businessman ka, hindi ka naman nagde-depend sa salary. Kahit nagde-depend ka sa salary, sino ba nagpapasweldo noon? Gobyerno lang eh. Only my wife received her salary religiously. Everybody else, alam niyo, I live very near Marikina City. So Marikina City is my cultural and social destination. I seldom go to Antipolo Upper. I live in Antipolo Lower. There's nothing in Antipolo Lower. Puro kami subdivision. We go out for dinner. We go out to watch music, listen to music in Marikina. Sa labas-labas lang ng aming subdivision. Kasi sabi siya, lapit namin sa Marikina eh. Sa labas-labas lang ng subdivision namin, restaurant row yan eh. Lilac Street outside of my subdivision was a bustling restaurant area. From end to end restaurants yan. Lahat ng klaseng putahe pwede mong kainin dyan. All sorts of cuisine. Before the pandemic. During the pandemic, 80% of those restaurants closed permanently. Yung nabuhay lang, yung mga nag-deliver. Yun yung talagang resilient. Tiniis nila, magbayad ng mga sweldo, magbayad ng supplies. Tiniis nila, home delivery lang. So hanggang ngayon, buhay sila. Although I heard kanina, may isang nagsara. But anyway. So yun, wala natatanggap na kita. Yung kahit na, kahit na may business sila, kahit na may trabaho, walang sweldo. So, Meralco gave this condonation, 3 months, nagkamali nga ako. We miscalculated the payment of installment such that I think the last installment, mali yung calculation namin ng payment. So, ang nang ginawa ng Meralco, on the 4th month when we thought we were paying on time, halimbawa, ang bill namin for the 4th month was wala kasi masyadong activities noon. So, I think bumaba ang bills namin. Siguro mga 4,000 to 5,000 na lang ang electric bill namin. So, we paid 4,000. Sabihin na natin, ano? Kasi yun yung bill na lumabas sa Meralco. By after several months, I think after 6 months, nalata ko, tuwing darating yung bill, mayroon pa rin akong utang. So, I went to Meralco. I asked, what's up? Tama-tama, dala ko yung aking appearance fee for the day. Buti na lang, dala ko. Kasi it turns out, nag-application of payment ang Meralco. Yung binabayad kong 4,000, 5,000 every month na electric bill ko, yun yung regular electric bill ko, hindi pala napupunta sa pagbayad ng kuryente for that month. Kasi meron pala akong utang doon sa kanilang condonation program. They apply the payment. What happens here? I am one debtor. I have several types of debt. One is the payment for the bill. Diba? Every month, I'm consuming electricity, so I have to pay that. I am a debtor to Meralco until I pay that. I am also a debtor to Meralco because of the condonation program. They gave a condonation program, hindi ako nagbayad ng 3 buwan, with ang usapan sa 4th month, bill sila installment. Mali calculation ko. Mali yung riniremit ko sa Meralco. So, ang ginawa ng Meralco, whenever I paid 4,000 pesos for my current bill, they did not credit it to my bill. They credited it to my utang from the installment program. Kasi the installment program preceded all of my other bills. So they're applying the payments to the last bill which is unpaid. And then, dahil late uli ako doon sa ika-4 na buwan, late uli ako sa ika-5 buwan, for 6 months. Hindi ko alam. I didn't realize. For somebody who's teaching Oblicon, I didn't realize. Until I went to Meralco, buti na lang may dala akong pera from my acceptance, from my appearance fee that day. Ipambayad ako. Welcome, Ms. Tabuno. You're 18 minutes late.
Sorry po, sir. Dinala ko po kasi sa clinic yung nanay ko po.
Kakauwi lang po. Okay, sana nag-absent ka na lang kung gano'n, iha.
Pero kakauwi lang po namin. Pasensya na po ulit, sir.
Okay. Well, you give your explanations to your class presidents, ha?
Apo, sir.
Okay. So, balik tayo. The second good example of application of payment is the credit card. Diba? Sinabi ko sa inyo yung credit card, walang fee yan if you pay on time. Walang interest kasi ang credit card company sa mga tao nagbabayad on time. Ang gusto nila yung revolver. Yung umuutang, magbabayad on installment. So, bibili ka sa SM, bibili ka ng LCD, ang mura na ng LCD TV ngayon. When I first bought the LCTV, bagong labas pa lang, it was 40,000 pesos, 32-inch lang. Ngayon, makabili ka ng 42-inch. I think I bought my 43-inch TV for 24,000 pesos. Ganun nakamura. But, it's still a lot of money. So, you buy it on installment. So, instead of paying the credit card company 24,000 pesos for your TV right away, sino ba naman may 24,000 pesos na nasa bulsa nila, di ba, at the end of the month? Installment mo yan. So, ang gagawin ng credit card company, hatiin nila yan. Annual installment, 2-year installment, 3-year installment, kung ano yung gusto mo. So, ang gaang-gaang yan. Bawat buwan, imagine, bumili ka ng 42-inch TV, tapos ang bawat buwan, binabayaran mo lang doon ay 384.60, 415.75, parang ang dali, ano? But what is happening? The credit card company, whenever you pay 300 or 400 pesos na installment mo, you are not paying the principal. That amount is being applied to your interest. Why is that so? Di ba pinag-aralan natin yan 2 weeks ago? When the total amount of debt is due, the payment will first be applied to the interest before it is applied to the principal. Kasi, yung interest, yun ang kita nung nagpautang. Yun ang kita niya. That is the cost of money for the lender. So he's more interested really in collecting the interest so that he can declare a profit, you know? And then he will collect the principal. So ganyan ang credit card company. So bayad ka ng bayad, ilang taon ka na nagbabayad sa TV mo, lalaspag na lang yung 42-inch TV mo, hindi ka pa bayad. It is only in the last 6 months siguro na nagbabayad, or the last 8 months na nagbabayad ka ng principal, kasi palaki ng palaki rin yung installment. Kasi palaki, the installment is not fixed. The credit card company makes the installment payable easy in the beginning and a bit harder at the end because they're already trying to collect the principal. So hindi yan simple arithmetic, ano, na 24,000 pesos yung TV divided by 3 years, dapat 8,000 per year divided by 12 months, whatever, di ba? Hindi. The first year, madali yung mga installments. The second year, pahirap ng pahirap. Third year, palaki ng palaki because they are now trying to recover their principal through the principle of application of payments. Ano? Okay, so remember that. But that is not the only example. If we have an example, please don't give the examples I already gave because I'm not interested in listening to them. Okay. Application of payments versus compensation. Compensation occurs when there are several debtors. So, application of payments occurs when there is one debtor, several debts, one creditor. Meralco, in my first example, the credit card company, the second, teka muna, wrong spelling. My school, I was best speller in elementary. They'll get back my certificate. The second example is the credit card installment payment. Only one debtor, several debts, one creditor. Compensation, there are several creditors. Because compensation means that your payments are being made to satisfy several debts. Okay, so now we take up session. Session is the root word is to seed. To seed. Pamimigay. In English, di ba? Ang gusto ni Duterte noon, we will seed our claims in the West Philippine Sea to China in exchange for peace. Ano? Ipamimigay natin ang West Philippine Sea natin sa China para lang meron daw tayong kapayapaan. Kasi yan ang sabi ni Duterte. Kaya ang tawag kay Duterte ngayon, traidor. Because we are giving up our properties to a foreign country. To cede, di ba? Okay, so sa law ganun rin, to cede means to give away. So let us look at the civil code. I hope you're following this. I'm sorry to be boring, but my professors in the College of Law also bored me with their lectures. Hopefully this is more interesting than the way I learned it. So we're looking at Article 1255. Cession involves only one provision. It's only one paragraph long. Wait, makinig kayo. Here we talk about one debtor, several creditors. And normally, you expect the debtor, yung may utang, is in some sort of financial trouble. Kaya niya ginagawa ito. Because normally, what you want pag may utang is kung ikaw yung nagpahiram ng pera, ay gusto mo mabayaran ka rin sa pera in cash, di ba? Ayaw mong bayaran ka in kind. Kasi problema pa yan, di ba? Halimbawa, ikaw ay car dealer. Si Miss Saranilla ay may car dealership. Siya ay nagbebenta ng kotse. Binenta niya yung kanyang kotse kay Miss Di Umano. Miss Di Umano bought a brand new CRV, Toyota CRV, from Miss Saranilla on installment. But so kanyan, 5 years. So for 4 years, nabayaran niya. Yung last year, medyo nagka-problema yung kanyang business. Hindi niya mabayaran. So ang offer niya, this is not session because you have to have several creditors. Kung sabihin natin that Ms. Saranilla is together with some business partners. So ang utang niya is to several people including Ms. Saranilla. Normally, itong mga tulad ni Ms. Saranilla na nagpapahiram ng pera o nagpa-utang on installment, gusto nilang bumalik pera rin. Kasi yung pera madaling gamitin yan. Pwede deposit sa bangko. Di ba? Pwede ilagay sa, you enter it in your accounting books. As accountants, that's what you do. Ang offer ni Ms. Di Umano, ibabalik na yung sasakyan. Benta nyo na lang, tapos kung ano yung kulang sa akin, kunin nyo doon. Bayaran nyo sarili nyo. Tapos, pag paid na kayo, balik nyo sa akin kung ano yung natitira. That is what session means. Session is different from dasyon and pago. So in session, you are giving away all of your things as a debtor. Si Attorney Balanag umutang sa bangko. 2, 3, 4 na bangko. Iba-ibang halaga. 10 million, 25 million. Ang suma total nung pinakautangan ni Attorney Balanag, 100 million. Di ba? 4 na bangko yan. 100 million ang total na pagkakautang ko sa lahat ng bangko na yan. Yung mga bangko na yan, hindi yan interesado na bigyan sila ng lupa o bigyan sila ng alahas o painting kahit gaano kaganda. Ang mga bangko na interesado sa pera. Diba? Kaya sila nagbi-business ng bangko para magkaroon ng pera. Hindi naman sila nagpapatakbo ng gallery para tumanggap ng artwork. May artwork ako, pwede ko i-alok. Diba? Hindi naman sila nagpapatakbo ng car dealership para tanggapin yung masasakyan ko. Hindi naman sila nagpapatakbo ng kennel para tanggapin yung mga aso ko. Di ba? Bilang kabayaran sa utang. Hindi sila interesado ron. Interesado sa pera. Kaso ano mangyari ngayon? Bakit nagkakaroon ng session? O assignment? Session, assignment are synonyms. Assignment means, sabihin ko sa kanila, ito yung mga ari-arian ko. Ito, mga libro ko. yung mga lupa namin sa Baguio, whatever else properties I have. Benta nyo yan. Kayo mga bangko, 4 na bangko na pinakautangan ko ng isang 100 million. Benta nyo yung properties na yan. At saka yung 100 million, ginamit ko yan para bumili ibang properties. Kunin nyo rin yun. Benta nyo. Tapos, pag sumobra, halimbawa, lahat ng ari-arian ko, sa halip na 100 million lang pala halaga, syempre may interest. Ano? May interest. So, sabihin natin kasama na yung interest. Including the interest to all of these banks plus the principal, my properties, may natira pang 50 million, sabihin natin. Nakatira ako sa Forbes Park. Isang bahay sa Forbes Park, 1 billion. So, may natira pa. So, happy sila. Happy rin ako kasi at least may natira. Starting all over ako. Diba? Yun ang ibig sabihin ng session. From my properties, my debtors will satisfy themselves. And if they sell it and they're able to get the amount which they claim to owe from me, that I owe them, then they are happy. Diba? Now, there are rules for the apportionment of properties. Kasi syempre yung 4 na bangko na yan, hindi sila tiyak eh. Kasi pagkuha nila ng properties nila, syempre ipapa-assay nila yan. Ano? ASSAY. They will have the properties valued so that they know how much. Kasi syempre, when you receive property and you have to sell it, first, the property may have depreciated, di ba? I'll go back to hindi ako marunong gumamit ng whiteboard eh. Okay. Oops. May assay and valuation yan kung kayo yung bangko. When you are an accountant, you will rely on somebody, an independent body, somebody you pay to provide valuation. So when you receive kasi the properties, you don't know if they're depreciated. Halimbawa, may property ka nandun naman sa lugar na may NPA. Tuwing papasok yung contractor o yung surveyor dyan, hinahanapan ng revolutionary tax ng buwisit NPA na yan. The bank is not interested in properties like that, di ba? So mababa ang valuation nila dyan. Although the land itself may be valuable, it is not accessible. So mababawasan yung valuation na it is depreciated. So there's always the risk of depreciation, especially when you're talking about movables, no? Items which are not fixed to the land, like vehicles, stock in trade. Hindi mo alam if yung stock in trade ni Miss Saranilla na mga kotse, hindi mo alam kung okay pa yan o baka dahil sa tagal na hindi niya may benta, hindi na maandar. Patay na yung computer, patay na yung battery, hindi na maayos. Diba? So when you're the bank, you're not going to collect, halimbawa ako yung bangko na isa, Bank A, pinakautangan ko ng 25 million pesos. They want 25 million pesos back. Let's say the debt was not paid at all. So they want 25 million pesos back plus interest. How will they get that from the properties that I'm offering? So they will value that and they'll say, nako, to sell that, we have to sell more than 25 million. Kasi hindi natin alam kung mga 25 million makukuha natin balik dyan. Baka baka yung lupa na yun, it's only worth 20 million now. O yung mga stock and trade na yun, is only worth 15 million now. So we have to get more properties, and we have to value the properties that we get lower kasi lugi tayo. Diba? Yan ang inisip ng bawat bangko. So there are rules, no? Yun yung nakalagay sa article the article on cession. There are rules for how the parties, the debtors, the creditors rather, divide up the properties. But if it is conventional cession by agreement, usually there will be a committee or there will be a group that will be organized to determine how to allocate. Ganito kasi ang thinking dyan, ladies and gentlemen. Isipin nyo kayo yung nagpapautang, lalo na yung malaki. Hindi ba mas mabuting mabayaran kayo ng konti kaysa wala? Diba? Yan ang prinsipyo dyan eh. That's why cession is allowed. Because from cession, although sabihin natin may depreciation, sabihin natin mayroong devaluation, sabihin natin na mag-aaway-away yung mga creditors, kung mag-agree sila at kusundin nila yung, tingnan nyo yung aking notes, deficiency rules, the rules on deficiency and bankruptcy, everybody will be able to get paid kahit papaano, kahit konti. Ano? Tapos maghintay na lang sila kung kulang pa na gumanda ang sitwasyon ko para makapagbayad ako uli. Diba? That's what cession means. That's why ako personally, unless the cession is total satisfaction of the obligations due, total satisfaction of the debts. Usually the debts in cession are money debts. Kasi liquidated na dapat. Remember last class period we talked about liquidation. Kailan liquidated yung debt? And when it's liquidated, it's in peso terms. So when it's liquidated and it's in peso terms, it's you want and you are not yet fully paid, you can get what is called a deficiency. Now, I remember class, I told you, itong session is a form of extinguishment of payment. But really, unless the session is total, in other words, the money claim is fully paid to all of the debtors, at wala na silang habulin, wala nang deficiency. Now, that's what I highlighted their deficiency. There is only partial satisfaction. That is not extinguishment of the obligation because when nagbigay ako ng properties sa 4 na bangkong pinagkakutangan ko, yun lang ang aking debtors, wala na akong ibang pinagkakutangan, yun lang 4 na bangko. And the properties I gave are insufficient to pay all of them. In other words, all 4 are paid 75%, 80%, depending on the nature of their debts. Pwede pa sila maghabol ng 20%, 25%. Deficiency. So the obligation is not yet extinguished. They will now wait or sue me for the deficiency. Yun ang problema dyan. So I'd like to change, this is my personal opinion, it's not in the book, it's not even in the law book that I'm reading. But ako, ang personal opinion ko, unless the cession is made and there is full satisfaction of the debt, cession is not a form of extinguishment of payment. Instead, what happens is novation, which we will study next class period. Okay, and I expect you to read on it because novation is a very difficult concept. Simply put, pag ang mga debtors, yung 4 na debtors na yan, nabayaran lang sila 75%, 80%, meron silang deficiency. Meron akong deficiency kasi ako yung may utang na 20 to 25%. Habulin pa nila yan. Diba? What happens is that what they can do is retire my debt. Retire my debt. Diba? So 80% debt, nabayaran ko, okay, tapos na yan. They will now write a new debt instrument saying that I now owe 25%. let's say 25% of 25 million is 6.25 million, 6.25 million pesos. They will now write a new debt instrument. Attorney Balanag, kalimutan na natin yung 25 million na utang mo kasi nakapagbayad ka na ng 80%. 20% na lang ang 20% na lang ang utang at 25% na lang, nakapagbayad ka ng 75%. 25% na lang ang utang mo. Are you following me? I'm sorry to confuse you with the numbers. I paid back to Bank B my debt of 25 million. I paid back, including interest and everything, more than 75%. So sabihin natin 75%. So I owe 25%. What Bank B will do is they will write off my debt to the amount of 75%. Diba? And they will now issue a new debt instrument na ang utang ko ay yung remaining 25% na lang. Yan yung deficiency na sinasabi ko kanina dito, di ba? Deficiency. So the deficiency is a new obligation. It is novated. It is a new obligation. That is what novation means. It becomes a new obligation. And why does the bank do that? Para ma-reflect sa books na hindi na sila naghabol ng utang. Bakit ko gusto yan bilang debtor? Kasi magbabayad na naman ako interest din sa utang na yan. Habang hindi bayad yung 100% ng 25 million, yung interest yan, aandar ng aandar. Ngayon, bilang partida, bilang concession sa bangko, at gusto rin yan ng bangko, they will write off the debt na and they'll just say, okay, you just owe us 6.25 million pesos plus interest. Ito ngayon yung bagong interest rate natin na 30 balanag, ha? Bayaran mo yan. Tsaka hindi na to 5-year loan. This is a 1-year loan. Kasi maliit na lang eh. At saka, deficiency yan, attorney, hinahabol namin yan. Sa amin na talaga yan eh. Bigay mo na. Yeah, so, the old loan for 25 million has been retired kasi I paid 75% of it, substantial compliance. The bank will now issue a new debt instrument for the 25%, 6.25 million still due, with a new interest rate and a new period. Because the old obligation is now changed. Yung old obligation, 35 years, payable in 5 years. Ngayon hindi na. Maliit na lang eh. Tsaka deficiency yan eh. Deficiency na lang yan. Utang yan. Mula sa dati. So the bank has the opportunity to clean its books. Tanggal na yung 75% of 25 million na utang ko. So when they report to the central bank, sabihin nila, no, our debt to asset ratio has improved because our debtors have paid substantially. And we made those who still owe us sign new instruments of debt under new terms of interest and new terms of period, new interest rate in a new period, a shortened period. So we will be able to collect and improve further our debt to asset ratio. Yan ang interest ng bangko eh. Maipakita na solvent sila, malakas sila. Nagpapautang kami, nakakakolekta kami. Malakas kami. Yan ang gusto ng bangko. That's what you will be doing when you work for the banks, ladies and gentlemen. So that is why session makes sense, you know? For all of the debtors. So we're just talking about Bank B. Bank A, Bank C, Bank D, the same situation, the same logic. I was telling you earlier on, itong session, it really occurs when the person is not solvent. Meron siyang konting money problems. Why? Because otherwise it paying cash. Diba? If I own our property in Baguio, is in the center of Baguio City. Alam niyo kung kayo taga Maynila at gusto niyo bumili ng lupa sa Baguio, wala na kayong mahanap ng lupa nasa sentro ng Baguio. Kasi Baguio is really overbuilt already. And kung makahanap pa lang kayo ng lupa dyan, either it's illegal, peke yung titulo dyan, o napakamahal. Our property in Baguio is one of those. It's probably very expensive if we have to sell it. So if I had to liquidate it, I don't want to do that because the property is worth a lot. So, bayad na lang ako in cash. Ngunit kung ako ay kapos, I am insolvent, I have no choice but to give all of my properties to my debtors. What is that called? That's called bankruptcy. So cession really occurs within the context of bankruptcy laws. Now, I will not bother you with the details of bankruptcy laws other than to tell you that this exists. Basically, ang operation kasi ng bankruptcy law is ganito. Si Attorney Balanag, maraming utang. Meron naman siyang mga ari-arian. Under bankruptcy, ibibigay mo lahat yan. Ano? So, I will have to surrender to the court all of my assets and my collectibles. Collectibles are assets. Halimbawa, may utang naman nagpautang ako kay Bongbong Marcos para makapasyal siya sa Singapore. Pautang ako sa kanya ng 50 million. Presidente yan eh. Tiyak magbabayad yan, di ba? Hindi mo na kailangan kolektahan. Collectible yan. So, pwede ko yung pang-offset sa iba kong mga utang. So, in bankruptcy court, I will now bring all of my assets and my collectibles. Anong gagawin ng bankruptcy court? I-aalok niya yan sa lahat ng pinakakautangan ko. Nakapila sila. Ako, ang haba. Mas mahaba pa ng pila kaysa sa Hermes shop. Alam niyo yung Hermes at saka Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton. You don't pronounce them. Kailangan mo ng appointment para pumunta dyan. Ewan ko bakit hindi alam niya ni Xiaowi. You cannot just enter even if you're the richest guy on earth. So anyway, ang haba ng pila, mas mahaba pa kaysa pila sa Louis Vuitton o sa Hermes. Dami kong pinagkakautangan. Ang gagawin ng bankruptcy court, sabihin niya, ito na lahat ng assets ni Attorney Balanag. Ang utang niya sa inyong lahat, 150 million. Itong nakumpuni ng korte na kanyang assets, ang halaga ay 101 million lamang. How does the bankruptcy system work? Ibibigay niya yan sa lahat ng creditors. Alam niyo, ang creditors kasi may ranking yan. There are preferred creditors and there are ordinary creditors. And there are creditors. Preferred creditors are those who have security. In other words, mortgage. Mortgage, you don't pronounce the T either. Mortgage. Hindi, mortgage. So, mortgage secured by properties. Di ba? So, if the creditor is a secured creditor, may priority yan. Kasi nasa kontrata yan eh. After paying the secured creditors, then you will pay the ordinary creditors. So, may rules yan sa bankruptcy. The objective of the bankruptcy court is pagkakasyahin ngayon itong assets para at least lahat makatanggap ng bayad. Tapos, absuelto na si Attorney Balanag. Clean na siya. The obligation is extinguished. His obligation to all of these banks and creditors are extinguished. So, anong gagawin ng may hawak ng utang ni Bongbong Marcos sa akin para makadalaw siya dyan sa Formula 1 na hobby niya? Kukolekta siya ngayon kay President Marcos. Hawak niya yung papel. Pupunta ngayon siya doon sa Malacanang. Sabi niya, meron ng utang kay Attorney Balanag, binigay ho sa akin ng bankruptcy court. Ako na ho may hawak ng utang. Bayaran niyo ako. That's what assignment of credit means. So, yung collectible ko, binigay ko sa iba kasi pwede naman sila mangolekta. Kaso 101 million lang ang nabayaran. Ibig sabihin, meron mga debtors na hindi nabayaran. What can they do? They can sue for deficiency later on. But they cannot sue me now. Because after the bankruptcy proceedings have been finished, I am free. Wala na ako obligasyon. My obligations to these banks are extinguished. Tapos lang utang. Except for the deficiency if they want to sue me for that. But nobody will bother to do that unless you're Dennis Uy, who owns billions of pesos to everybody. Kilala si Dennis Uy. Si Dennis Uy may-ari ng Dito, may-ari ng Phoenix Petroleum. Naging siyang multi-billionaire sa panahon ni Duterte kasi taga Davao yan. Ngunit yung nawala si Duterte, ayun, balik siya sa pagiging ordinary multimillionaire kasi marami siyang hindi binabayaran pala. Kaya pala siya billionaire. Hindi nagbabayad ng utang. Okay. I think that covers application. So just remember the prerequisites, no? We go to condonation or remission of debt. Ano ang Tagalog ditong condonation or remission of debt? Patawad. Patawad. One way to extinguish an obligation, for example, a debt, is humingi ka ng patawad. May utang ka kay Ninong. Umutang ka kay Ninong ng 10,000 pesos kasi kailangan mo para pambili ng cellphone. Sabi, Ninong, ang hirap itong online eh, yung cellphone ko eh, Nokia pa. Hindi, walang internet. Bibili ako ng Vivo, kahit second hand, para makapag-internet ho ako. Si Ninong mabait. Pautang kay Mr. Barcanosa para makabili ng Vivo. Maganda-ganda para makapag-internet siya, makapag-online. Nakapag-graduate na si Mr. Barcanosa. Number 3 pa sa board exams of 2024. CPA na. Bating si Ninong. Iho. Alala mo, nagbigay ako 10,000 sa'yo para makabili ka ng cellphone. Eh, nagamit mo mabuti. Imagine, or top-notcher ka pa. Gusto mo ng bayaran. Ninong, patawad na lang. Mabait talaga si Ninong kasi it turns out si Ninong is the one paying for Marcos's Formula 1 visits. Mayaman siya. So, sabi niya, ikaw naman iyo. Basta pag vice president ka na sa bangko, huwag mo kalimutan si Ninong. Uutang ako sa bangko mo. Ayos yan, Ninong, sabi ni Mr. Barcanosa. Basta huwag mo na akong pabayaan sa cellphone. Cellphone, baliwala yan sa'yo. Bibigay ka nga ng pera para sa taong gusto manood ng Formula 1 race. Ako pa, na inaanak mo. Di ba? Patawad. Condonation or remission of debt is the best way to extinguish an obligation. Kasi wala kang pabayaran kung ikaw yung debtor, di ba? Kung ikaw naman yung creditor, sometimes it's good to be gracious and generous. Di ba? Pag meron ka ng konting pera, yung mga maliliit na halaga, pabayaan mo na. O, may pupunta dito sa bahay, magbebenta ng isda. Huling ko na raw. Huling piraso niya para makauwi na siya. Di ba? O, bibilhin mo na. May pera ka naman, di ba? So, it's good to be generous and kind. That is the basis, the social basis of condonation or remission of debt. But, please note, Article 750, please take this down. I expect you to read it. And 752, on inofficious donation. Inofficious is, alam mo yan ang mahirap sa aming mga Inglesero, lalo ng mga abogado. Mahilig kami dito sa mga highfalutin terms, ano? Inofficious donation. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Sumobra ang donation. Ganun lang kasimple. Ewan ko ba itong mga abogadong to galing UP o gagawa pa ng term na inofficious. But that is from the Latin. We have no choice. An inofficious donation is one which exceeds the legitimate that a person could have given by way of will. What does this mean? I will write again, ha? Tignan nyo. Mayroong parte ng civil code na hindi nyo pinag-aralan. Ngunit ako pinag-aralan ko. Umiyak ako ng dugo dyan sa parte na yan. Because succession law is one of the most useless but one of the most difficult parts of civil law. Why do I say it's useless? Because you're talking about people who have properties and money. Diba? So, alam nyo kung basahin yung mga kaso sa succession law. Nandiyan lahat ng mga pangalan ng mga yayaman, mga Zobel, mga ganon, mga Tuason, mga mayayaman sa Pilipinas. Walang mahirap na pinag-aaralan sa succession law. Because succession law has to do with legitimes. Then the share of heirs. Did I misspell again? Marino will really get back my certificate of best speller. When we go through life, ladies and gentlemen, there is a process of accumulating wealth, gaining properties, gaining credits. You know? Ito, yung utang ng tao is a credit, is an asset. Once it is collected, it becomes money. Diba? So that's all part of the assets of every person. When a person dies, these properties must be given in accordance with the will. So when there is a will, that is testamentary law. Testamentary succession. And when there is no will, last will and testament to, we're not talking about will, yung nagbibigay ng jacket o sweater sa kanyang TV show. Intestate. So, the Roman law from which we got this from, is designed in such a way that a person will now give away all of his assets when he is dead. If he writes a will, a last will and testament, then through the process of testamentary succession, his properties are disposed of. So, if I were, this is the best example. Do you know this? I will recite it from memory. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I have not come here to praise Caesar, but to bury him. What is that? The first two lines of Mark Antony's funeral proclamation for the death of Julius Caesar. During the Ides of March, alam nyo kasi ang Roman calendar noon, hindi tulad ng kalendaryo natin ngayon. They reckon time a different way. Certain months had Ides. The Ides are the period between 1 and the 15th of the month. So, when Julius Caesar, alam niyo si Julius Caesar, syempre, di ba? He was one of the most famous Roman emperors. The first Roman emperor during the Republican period. Because during the Republican period, there were no emperors. But Julius Caesar became dictator and proclaimed himself emperor. And that's why many people politically resented him. Because he reinstituted the system of royalty. They were all Republicans already. They had a democratic system. The dictator, like I told you before, I don't know if I mentioned it to these classes, the dictator under Roman law was not the dictator we know now, tulad ni Duterte o ni Putin, ano? They were elected and they served for a certain period. And when the period was done, usually during times of war, the dictator retired. Hindi siya dictator for life, tulad ni Putin. Okay. Julius Caesar asked the Oracle of Delphi. The Oracle of Delphi is a famous prophet. And he was told to be careful about the Ides of March. In other words, he could be killed within the Ides of March. And truly, was it the last day of the Ides? He was attacked by senators, the most powerful politicians of the time, because they felt that he was getting too powerful. He would become an emperor. He was an emperor. And that was against their democratic principle. So each of them stabbed him once at least, so that everybody participated in his killing. So when he was there, dead already, I think he stopped bleeding by this time. By the time Mark Antony delivered his eulogy, he mentioned, if you read Mark Antony's eulogy in Julius Caesar of Shakespeare, he mentions that Julius Caesar had a will. The rules of testamentary succession would have applied to Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was reputedly the richest man in the Roman Empire during his time. And if you really think about it, probably in all times. Because Julius Caesar conquered a lot of countries. And when you conquer countries, you get a lot of riches. Taxes. So he had a personal share in these taxes. Not all of them went to the government. That was legal during that time. It's illegal now. Because now, I don't know if it's still illegal to use taxes for your personal benefit. Kasi apparently you can use Philippine Air Force plane to go to watch Formula 1. But I may be wrong. So Julius Caesar, in his testament, in his last will and testament, he gave part of his money to all of the citizens of the city of Rome. Not the Roman Empire, only the city of Rome. Imagine that. Nagbigay siya ng pera sa bawat nilalang sa...
Sino naman kung gawin nilagnat sa hospital?
Yung microscope. Okay. So that is testamentary succession. When you have no will, it is intestate succession. And there are rules which we got from the Roman law and from the Spanish civil code on how to divide your estate. And we follow the rule on legitimes. Please turn off your mic.
1 to 8 ata yun.
Under the system of intestate succession, every person who has a property, half of it is reserved for his heirs. In other words, well, under succession law, half of the properties of every person is reserved for the heirs. In other words, that is the legitime. Under testamentary succession, you can give your properties to anybody. You can give it to your cat. Some people have given their entire estate to their cat, their dog, their psychiatrist, their gym, yung Zumba instructor nila. You can give it to anybody. Or you can put it in a box and bury it somewhere. Di ba? But under the law, even if you have the testamentary power to give the money to your wealth to anybody when you die, half of it is reserved for your legitimes. In other words, if I had an estate worth 1 million, $500,000 is already reserved by law for my what we call forced heirs. Forced heirs are those who are closest to me. My spouse and my children. And if a person does not have a spouse and does not have children, malay mo, legitimate, di ba? Does not have children, there's a certain procedure. Ano? So, pupunta yan sa taas, pupunta ba? Basically, ganun. So, pwede yan bigyan sa magulang. Kung wala magulang, ibibigay sa mga kapatid. Okay, so ganun yan. In other words, the succession law is designed so that it is fair to everybody who survives the decedent, the person who died. Ang tawag natin sa namatay, decedent. Si decedent, sa kanya yung estate. Dami namin terms, ano? Yung mga abogado. Minsan nakakahilo eh. Okay. Why am I talking about this? Because of this provision in articles in remission of debt, that the remission or the condonation of the debt cannot exceed that which can be given away by succession, by means of succession. You cannot make an inofficious donation. An inofficious donation is a donation which exceeds the part of your estate which is reserved for the legitimate. So you have to make a mental calculation when you're donating. When you're donating and you're a person with property, you have to know how much is your total estate. And based on your total estate, hatiin mo na yan kasi kalahati reserved sa forced heirs. Kasi doon sa natitirang kalahati, doon ka lang pwedeng mag-donate. At pag yan ay na-exceed, ang tawag dyan ay inofficious donation. And why is this important? An inofficious donation maybe is unfair to the forced heirs of the person. Kasi kung mamatay siya, wala nang naiwan sa property. Pwedeng mangyari, pwedeng hindi. Pwedeng mangyari na wala nang maiwan sa properties niya upang isatisfy yung kanilang legitim. That's why the law does not allow inofficious donation. And inofficious donation is also unfair to the creditors because the creditors are relying on the integrity of the estate with which to pay themselves just in case the person dies and does not pay his debts. So, although there is condonation or remission of debt, pwede mo patawad. Patawarin mo yung may utang sa iyo o magpatawag ka doon sa may utang, pinag-uutangan mo. That is a good way, the best way to extinguish a debt, to extinguish an obligation. Kaso, it cannot be inofficious because a condonation is considered a donation. A condonation or remission of debt is considered under the law as a donation. And if it is a donation of real estate, to comply with the statute of frauds and the property registration decree, it has to be in writing. Not only in writing, it has to be registered. Okay, so a donation of property should be in writing. That is for the protection of the donor, of the person who gave, and the person receiving. Kasi kung verbal lang, mahirap yan. Paano mo ipoprueba yan na alam ng mga kamag-anak ko, di utang si Bongbong Marcos sa akin tuwing pupunta siya sa Formula 1. Pinatawad ko pala siya kasi nagwapuhan ako sa kanya. Kung hindi in writing, paano yan alam ng mga ibang tao? Di ba? Because a debt is an asset. You can collect that debt and pay yourself, di ba? Kung ikaw yung creditor. So, my advice is, the lawyer's advice is always for the donations to be done in writing. If it's just a condonation of private properties, a condonation of a small debt, or of things, then it just has to be a private writing, you know. So private versus public document. All donations, all condonations involving real estate. Halimbawa, may mortgage. Instead of mortgaging your property, Miss Andres, instead of mortgaging your real estate to a bank, from a bank, di ba? Bumili ka ng lupa, tapos hindi, gusto mong wala kang pera, so utang ka. Sa halip na umutang ka sa bangko, umutang ka sa private, sa tao, alam mo, may kapitbahay ka, o may ninong ka, o may kamag-anak ka mayaman, sabi mo, Uncle, mayaman ka naman, utangin mo naman ako 10 million, bibili ako ng house and lot dito sa Binangonan Estates, maganda yung 9 million, tapos syempre kailangan ayusin ko yun, rehistro, gano'n. So mga 10 million kailangan ko. Utangin ko, ngunit gagawa ko ng real estate mortgage sa'yo. Na? So real estate mortgage, kung kayo ay accountant na, lagi nyo maririnig yan. Real estate mortgage, silent T, Si Uncle, kaya siya, binabayaran mo siya every month. Kasi real estate mortgage, di ba? So, hawak niya yung titulo. Bayad ka ng utang mo. Si Miss Andres, nagbayad, 10 years yung kanilang pinag-usapan, 8 years nagbayad siya. Tapos, hindi na siya makapagbayad. So, ifo-foreclose na ni Uncle. Kaso si Uncle kasi mabait doon sa 10 years, sa 8 years na yun na binabayaran siya ni Miss Andres, lalo pa siya yumaman. So sinabi niya, alam mo Eliza, mahal na mahal kita bilang niece ko biyaan mo na. Okay na yan, babalik ko na yung ika-cancel ko na yung utang mo. But si Miss Andres, hindi lang pwedeng sabi-sabi yan because this is a real estate mortgage. It deals with real rights. It is in a public document. So the cancellation of the real estate mortgage must be done in a public document. What is a public document? It is a notarized document. That's all it means. A public document is one which is notarized. What does that mean? A notarized document, pag tingnan nyo sa huli, meron niyang document number, page number, book number, series number, at saka pangalan ng notaryo. Pag nakita mo yung dokumentong yan, at gusto mong malaman kung totoo yan, tunay yung mga signature dyan, valid yan, all you have to do is go to the regional trial court where that notary public is commissioned as a notary. They have records of all notary public records. And you can go through the records. Sana electronic na ngayon kasi meron ng electronic notarization. But I doubt it. I'm not a notary public. It's too much trouble for a lawyer. Nung nasa law office ako with my classmates from law school, nagko-compyang kami kung sino magiging notaryo kasi walang may gusto. Imagine, naghihintay ka doon mong araw para sa mga tao may dalang dokumento. Kasi you have to sign original. Yan ang mahirap sa notaryo. Ako, tapos na hearing ko, uwi na ako. Bahala na kayo sa buhay niyo. So nobody wanted to be a notary public in our law office. Okay. A notary public is a public document because it can be verified. There are records. Hindi mo pwede sabihin, hindi yan ang sinabi ko. Hindi cancel yung real estate mortgage ni Miss Andres. Meron niyang document. Kung private yan, kayo lang may hawak. Malay mo ba kung peke yan? Malay mo kung ikaw lang sumulat yan, di ba? Nowadays with the internet, with the computer, you can do a lot of things. Pwede ka mag-cut and paste, di ba? May nakita kang signature ni Uncle. Si Miss Andres, may nakita kang signature. Kinat and paste niya mula sa electronic document. Linagay niya sa document entitled Cancellation of Real Estate Mortgage. Tapos rinehistro niya. Hindi pwede ganun. Sa notaryo kasi, your signature is verified because you cannot be absent. You have to sign the document in front of the notary public. And the notary public, by entering it into his records, testifies that you actually appeared and that signature is yours and nobody was pointing a gun at you when you made that document. Nobody forced you to make that document. So, a donation of real estate or real rights should be made in a where the heck is it? Private public document. If it's private, you have to prove, but at least may proof ka. Okay. A donation is done inter vivos. Obviously, a condonation is done inter vivos because nobody will condone if you are dead. Pwede pa rin, but when you are dead, that is called mortis causa. Parang si Edgar Mortis. Mortis causa means by reason of death. Latin yan. Inter vivos means while you're alive. So the condonation is really done it's a donation inter vivos. It is donation by a live person to another live person. So please take a look at Article 1272. The evidence of condonation is when there is a private writing or when the instrument of death is in the hands of the debtor. Diba? Halimbawa, may promissory note. Si Miss Sebastian may utang kay wala akong makitang iba. Somehow may okay. Si Miss Sebastian may utang kay Ligen Castigador. Promissory note ay Christine Sebastian o ganito ang pinakasimpleng ko Ligen Castigador, the amount of 5,000 pesos which I shall pay on or before October 31. Promissory note, di ba? Okay. Sino may hawak ng promissory note na yan? Miss Castigador. Ikaw o si Miss Sebastian? Ikaw yung napautang. Si Miss Sebastian yung uutang.
Sa tingin ko po. Sa tingin ko po ako yung may...
Ikaw may hawak. The creditor holds the promissory notes because that is her proof that money is owed to her. Diba? And if the person does not pay, yun ay papakita niya sa barangay, yun ay papakita niya sa URS, kung kukolekta siya sa URS, yun ay papakita niya sa korte na meron utang itong tao sa akin, itong kanyang signature, itong kanyang obligasyon, dapat niyang bayaran. Exhibit A for the plaintiff. Diba? Since maliit lang yung halaga, hindi mo kailangan abogado. You can go to a small claims court and prosecute your own collection. You don't need a lawyer there. So that's very good, Ms. Castigador. Halimbawa, yung papel na yan, hawak na ngayon ni Ms. Sebastian. Hawak niya. Na binigay mo balik eh. What does that mean? The presumption of the law is that when the debtor holds the instrument of debt, the debt has been condoned. Paano niya pa nakuha yun? Alis magnanakaw siya. Diba? O alis estafadora siya. That is a presumption. A presumption is not proof. In other words, you can still prove. Hindi. Dumalaw yan si Miss Sebastian sa bahay ko, sabi ng Miss Castigador. Kumari daw, study group kami. Yung pala, pumunta siya sa aking table habang hindi ako tumitingin. kinuha niya yung promissory note. That is an assertion which can destroy the presumption that is established by Article 1272. So the evidence in 1272 is what we call in law prima facie. On first look, it looks like it's evidence. Actually, it means on first face, but in English, first face has no meaning. First look. Just looking at that situation where the debtor is holding the instrument of debt, it gives rise to an evidence, prima facie, that the debt has been condoned. Kasi otherwise, bakit hawak ng debtor yung kanyang instrument of debt? Diba? Okay, so you will learn more about these things when you take up credit transactions and negotiable instruments. Maybe through me next time. Please look at article, so itong 1273, basahin nyo na lang. When you condone the principal amount, you condone the interest. When you condone the principal obligation, you condone the accessory obligations. We took up principal accessory obligations earlier, much earlier during the semester. Please review that and review what are accessory obligations. However, when you condone accessory obligation, it does not mean that you condone the principal. Common sense. Diba? Halimbawa, ang kinondone lang ng creditor ay yung interest lang. Collectible pa rin yung principal. Diba? Common sense. So please look at Article 1274, which says that there is no condonation when it comes to pledge, because pledge is a special form of transaction. So please take a look at Article 2082 and 2093 dealing with pledge. I'm not going to bother. This is taken up in credit transactions. But pledge is when you borrow against a material security, a security which is a personal thing. Okay, so pag pumunta kayo sa pawn shop, umutang kayo ng halimbawa 1,000 o 5,000, tapos ang iniwan nyo yung cellphone nyo, at ang halaga ng cellphone nyo, kataon naman yung cellphone nyo ay Samsung na brand new, na top of the line, na ang halaga ay mahina na yung 35,000, 5,000 lang naman inuutang mo, madaling i-approve yung iyong utang. Di ba? At tiyak, tutubusin mo yung Samsung dahil 5,000 lang ang inutang mo, ang halaga ng Samsung ay 35,000. Di ba? Loko-loko ka kung hindi mo kukunin yun, para mo nang pinamigay yung 35,000. Kasi yung pawn shop, pag hindi mo bayaran yung utang mo, after a certain period under the pawn shop law, they will now sell that cellphone for close to or up to 35,000 pesos. So, lugig-lugig, umutang ka lang ng 5,000, pinakawalan mo yung security mo. The item you gave in pledge, that is worth 35,000 pesos. Diba? Kaya meron ring assay. Pag pumunta ka sa pawn shop, diba? Kung magdala ka alas, check nila yan. Kung tunay na ginto yan, meron silang weighing scale, meron silang gano'n, yung lente para sa jeweler. Tingnan nila kung tunay yung bato. Eksperto sila dyan kasi gusto nila makuha is a value greater than your debt. Kasi tulad ng sinabi ko sa inyo, mahirap magkaroon ng kabayaran in form of property pag ang utang ay pera. Kasi bibenta mo pa yan. O sabihin na natin nga na Samsung top of the line. Sino naman bibili ng Samsung top of the line sa panahon na ito? Na ang bigas, bumili akong bigas para sa aso namin, hindi para sa amin. 50 pesos sa kilo. Yun ang pinakapangit na bigas na mahanap ko. 50 pesos sa kilo. Sino makakabili naman Samsung na 35,000, di ba? So, yan ang problema ng pawn shop. Kaya gusto nila makakuha ng item mula sa iyo na mas malaki ang halaga kaysa utang mo. Kasi problema nila, kung hindi ka magbayad ng utang, problema pa nila kung paano nila ibebenta yan at magkakaroon sila ng cash. Hindi naman sila interesado magka-cellphone. Si Villarica, yung may-ari ng Villarica Pawn Shop, UP Law graduate yan. Ha? By this time, he's probably a billionaire. When he started Villarica, he was already a multimillionaire. He lives in Mikawayan. That's why I know him. I was legal consultant in Mikawayan for about 6 years. Kaya alam ko yan sila Villarica. Villarica is the mayor of Mikawayan. I don't know why he entered politics. Maybe he had too much money. He's not interested in cell phones. He's not interested in motorcycles. He's not, even kahit magdala ka ng Ferrari doon sa kanyang kotse, hindi siya interesado dyan. Interesado siya sa pera. Ano yung Ferrari mo? O yan ang ipa-pledge mo, di ba? Pledge is an exception to the condonation because the item which is pledged can never be owned by the bailor. Just remember that when you study pledge next semester. I wonder if we have enough time for confusion of merger of rights. I encourage you to read confusion merger of rights articles 1275 to 1277 for next period. We will also take up loss of the thing due. So malapit na tayo matapos mga kaibigan for this part of the semester. Ano? Kasi ang natetera na lang dyan, novation. Diba? Tama? Have we taken up consignation? Miss Maricar Celajes? Are you with us?
Yes po, sir.
Yeah, tapos na ba natin condonation, Iha? Ay, consignation. At any rate.
Sir, ulit po. Pasensya na po.
Ha? Tapos na ba?
Sir, paulit po. Napuputol po sa akin.
Okay. Natapos na ba natin ang consignation as a means of extinguishing obligations? Do you have it in your notes?
Some notes ko po, sir. Wala pa po.
Okay, so if we haven't, then we'll have to go over that. But we have enough time. So we have very little time left, so I cannot take up confusion and merger of rights. So we will do it next time together with loss of the thing due. Kasi yung loss of the thing due, ganyan uli yung ito yung aking last note ito sa aking lecture eh. Ako talaga ang tingin ko when there is incomplete satisfaction of the obligation, whatever the provisions of the civil code say on payment or extinguishment of obligations, there is no extinguishment of the obligation because the obligation is still there, it's just partially complied with. And we already studied the core principle of obligation is that it has to be fully complied with so that both parties are satisfied. So incomplete or partial payment or condonation or application of payments or consignation, that is not extinguishment. What really happens is probably innovation. Okay? This is just my observation. Okay, last 2 minutes. Nagbigay ko yung assignment sa inyo, Animal Farm. I hope nabasa nyo na kasi kung mahalata nyo, hindi naman mahirap basahin. Ano? Ito ay isang pabula, fable. The description by literary critics is that it is an allegorical fable. Ako, my categorization of it, having taught English myself, is that it is an allegorical farce. It's really a farce. Kasi, you know, are pigs smarter than other animals? You know? Can animals talk? So, although that is the fable part, the farce is that it's making fun of the Soviet communist system. It's making fun of the communist system. And not only the communist system, it's making fun of every dictator. So please, kung basahin niyo yan, mahalataan niyo na uy, itong mga ginagawa ni Comrade Napoleon na tinawag na nilang our leader. Di ba? Mukhang hindi kayo, parang hindi nyo binasa. Miss Opiana, are you with us?
Yes po, sir.
Basa mo? Nabasa mo na yung Animal Farm? Biglang nawala si Miss Opiana.
Di pa po tapos, sir.
Basahin nyo ng bilis-bilisan kasi bukas magbibigay na ako ng tanong. Ngayon, hindi ako magpapagawa sa inyo ng literary review kasi madaling i-cut and paste yan sa Google. Sabi ko sa inyo, sa Baron Notes lang ng panahon namin, nakakagawa na kami ng book review. Tsaka baka marami sa inyo kasing galing ko nakapaggawa ko ng book review ng uno sa aking English 4. Kalahati na ng libro binasa ko yung simula at saka yung ending. Catch-22. Up to now, having watched the movie, I cannot remember what happened between the beginning and the end. But I knew what Catch-22 was about. Wala pang Google ng panahon na yan. 1977. Nawala na si Miss Adonis. Di pa tayo tapos. Okay. What I will ask you to do is apply it to what we see in society today. That is the reason why I gave it. And why am I doing it? It has nothing to do with obligations and contracts. Wala yan. Hindi yan tulad ng Asterix and Obelix na nahanapan ko ng relationship sa Oblicon. This is really to develop in you an analytical frame of mind. To develop in you a critical thinking such that you will not be like these people that I see in Facebook comment ng comment, hindi nila pinag-isipan yung sinasabi nila. Hindi pwede yan sa graduate ng URS. Hindi pwede yan sa nakapasa ng CPA board. Hindi pwede yan sa isang professional na nagtatrabaho sa isang kumpanya o sa sarili niyang business. We are college graduates because we're expected to have critical thinking. That is the purpose of going to college. Hindi mo yan matututunan kung nag-aral ka lang para maging karpentero, plumber, o mekaniko. Although I hope they do teach it in TESDA. We go to college because we're expected to be critical thinkers. Kaya tignan nyo, pag mayroong bakante sa gobyerno, sino kinukuha nila? Mga classmates ko. Yung classmate ko ba, yung upperclassman ko, siya ba ay businessman? Bakit siya o expert sa gasoline o bakit siya ginawang Secretary of Energy? Di ba? Because he's a lawyer. And he developed the necessary skills to understand any topic on earth if he had to. You are not lawyers, but I expect you to all have the gift, the ability to criticize, the ability to think critically, not criticize. Sometimes you also have to compliment. Give compliment. Pag may ginawang tamang gobyerno, sabihin natin, tama yan. Suportahan natin. Ang problema ko, wala silang ginagawang tama. Diba? Pag ikaw ay nagbati kasi yung gobyerno, ikaw ay komunista. I'm not a communist. I laugh at the communists. I studied Marx. I'm an expert on Marx. And because I'm an expert on Marx, I know that naglolokohan lang sila. But I will criticize my government because I love my country. But I don't want you to be critics. But I want you, iba ang critic sa critical thinking. Critical thinking means, alam mo kung ano ang nangyayari. You are able to discern what is true and what is not, and to be able to derive a plausible and reasonable conclusion from a given set of facts or opinions. Okay? Do not say that the government is a failure kasi sinabi ni ganito. Do not say that the government is success because sinabi ni ganito. Please analyze. So I want you to read Animal Farm before next week. Okay? Because I will give you an exercise. And you have to submit it and I will read it. Okay? So, I enjoyed reading Animal Farm. I never read it before. I know lots of literature without actually having read them. I have an extensive literature collection. If I read every book, wala na akong ibang ginawa sa buhay ko. But I know the stories behind them. I have not read Julius Caesar by Shakespeare word for word, but I know the most important parts. Ganyan ang skill ng critical thinker, di ba? Okay, hindi mambobola. You have to know enough of Julius Caesar or Shakespeare to be able to talk about it. Mahirap ang bola dyan, marami expect. Okay, so please read Animal Farm, finish it. It's very easy to read. If I had more time, I could have read it in one day. In fact, in one sitting. Okay, but it's not just reading. I want you to think about Animal Farm and see how it applies in a practical manner in what you see around you, in society, in government, in your lives. Alam mo yung Animal Farm na apply yan kahit sa mga orgs nyo sa school mga barkada nyo. Di ba laging mayroong isang lilitaw dyan na gusto niya siyang bossing-bossing? Di ba? That's what Animal Farm is all about. Okay? So, have a nice afternoon. Maglalaba pa ako ng kurbata. So, have a nice weekend. And await my instructions on Animal Farm. Goodbye.
Sir, picture po.
Ayun nga pala. Hindi ako nag-quote. Ang init In court, bawal quote and kailangan quote and tie. Hindi pwedeng tie lang.
Okay po, smile po. Okay na po, thank you po.
Thank you. Okay. Have a nice time.
Thank you po.
Thank you, sir.
sir.
Hindi po.